Welcome to another episode of Steal a Moment podcast with me, Michael Lebois. Today's guest is the great and talented Jason Marsden. You know him from such films as A Goofy Movie, Hocus Pocus, and Spirited Away. He's done everything you could imagine in the world of voiceover work. He's been in the DC universe. We talk about that quite a bit, including his love for Batman. I was lucky enough to meet Mars through the wonderful and talented Lauren Landa, who I'm trying to get on this podcast as well, at a con here in Denver, Colorado, where I'm from. What was a lot of fun was getting to talk to Jason on sort of a personal level during that time, and got to know Mars pretty well, and had a lot of fun with him. So this podcast kind of is a microcosm of that time that we've had, and he's been a great voice and a fun character. We talk about some interesting things, including, like I said, the Batman universe. Didn't realize that he was as big of a Batman fan as I was, hence the name of the episode. We also talk about Nashville and what's going on there, music. He even poses some questions to me, which was really fun, and kind of made this a different kind of episode, which I really enjoyed. But before we head into the episode, I would like to thank our sponsor, Aether's Oath. These guys are incredible. They make some fucking amazing clothing. My guitar player in Gunpowder Empire, Joey Reddix, and his girlfriend Z started this company just a little over a year ago. They just celebrated their year anniversary, and I've honestly done some pretty amazing things. There's some great designs, absolutely amazing. Everything you guys see me wear from the top up on this channel is from Aether's Oath. If you could, go head over there. Head to ethersoath.com. I am about to pick up a couple more this next week. They have a really amazing Raven shirt that reminds me of a band Joey and I used to be in, and maybe we'll get him on here and we'll talk about the past a little bit on that front. Also, I'd like to thank Mosaic for all the music for this episode. Actually, every episode. The songs Dad Rock and Lifeless, Nima and the boys were nice enough to let me use for this show, and I am beyond amazed that the reaction that those songs have gotten from this show. So hopefully they can continue to push it. Also, I'd love to thank Patrick Creasy for designing the logo for the show. Guy did it on super short notice, and I am so impressed and so amazed with what he was able to do. Patrick's part of a band called Red Queen, which looks like they should have some new material coming their way. So that's a big piece as well. Also, I'd like to thank my band, Gunpowder Empire. We're going to be releasing some new material here for you guys soon. So if you could, there's a link in the description that connects to my band's Facebook and Instagram, also our YouTube channel and Spotify. Give us a listen. Tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. Also, like, comment, subscribe. It's how we get this channel a little bit bigger and help bring it to a new audience. I want to hear everything you guys have to say. That's kind of how I feel every day. If you're listening to this, then leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's a way for the podcast to grow that way as well. It doesn't need to be a 5-star review, but if you love it enough, give me a 5-star review. Write a little blurb and tell me what you think. Do the same with Spotify. Let me know what you think, and reach out to me on Facebook at the Steal a Moment podcast. That's on there. On Instagram at Michael_Lebois. And just let me know what you guys think about the show. With that all being said, Mars and I would like to steal a moment.
There he is.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Groovy. I'm doing it through my professional microphone and everything.
Oh, fancy.
What's going on?
Not too much, man. Just to let you know, we're already recording, so I
Oh, I
can
was
cut
I was
anything
wondering.
from the intro and stuff if you need.
That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. You're in Nashville now?
No, actually, I'm in Denver still.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, so it works out. I'm hanging out in Denver downtown nowadays, handling this whole quarantine thing as best I can and doing all that. But how are you, man? How are things? How have things been?
Things have been good. I've been staying sane by staying productive for the most part. Uh, trying not to go down too many rabbit holes, which is what I did the first couple of weeks. Because it was well, I don't know if you know, but here starting in March, before the pandemic hit, a tornado ripped through my neighborhood.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I thought it was just another storm because Nashville gets storms all the time, and I love weather because in LA there's like hardly any weather. So I was outside, like I was sitting in my living room looking out the window, like, oh, look at this epic storm. I'm gonna go out on my front porch. Oh wow, this is really intense. Oh, is that hail? I think I'll go back inside. I had no idea until the next morning that it was a tornado that came in and destroyed one of our local music venues, a couple of restaurants that I frequent, some beloved uh, businesses, just blocks from my house.
Oh, that's awful. Wow.
Crazy, crazy. And then, you know, pandemic, stay at home, a lot of paranoia, and then Black Lives Matter and protests and hate speech and all this stuff. It's been a challenging 2020 for sure.
Yeah, this has been one of the craziest years I think this is the craziest year I've ever experienced in my life. And it's one of those things where I feel like people have the opportunity to grow, people have the opportunity to change, people have the opportunity to really create even. Hence why I started this whole project and why I've been getting, trying to reach out to people I normally wouldn't be able to talk to in this situation. So
I love it.
taking advantage. Hey, there you go.
Now you can see me. I'm not
Yeah.
Is that because it's warm in here? Not that I want to. There's some good lighting.
That works, man. Is this where the magic happens? Is this the recording booth?
Yes. I was gonna say the magic happens in a different room, but I do all voiceover in this room. Yes. So like one of the benefits, one of the positive things that came out of the whole pandemic is, since I moved to Nashville from Los Angeles, I lost a lot of work voiceover wise because even though it's voice only, studios still insisted that I be in LA, even for callbacks. And I just couldn't justify that. So I just stopped traveling. But now, like when the stay at home order started, my agent sent out an email to everybody saying like, who's got home studios? So I just moved into this place. So I scrambled and turned this is just a 2-foot by 3-foot closet with 8-foot ceiling and scrambled to turn it into a sound booth. And I don't know anything about acoustics or anything. I called like so many engineer friends and I've already done 2 gigs from here. So far so good.
There you go, man. That's what I'm talking about is find an opportunity in a situation like this. It's perfect, and you built a home studio in a short period of time. It's amazing what we can do when we have a little pressure on us, right?
For reals. What about you, man? As a musician, you've definitely, well, most of us artists are home anyway. But is it curbed? Were you guys on tour? Were you playing gigs anywhere?
We had some gigs booked. We had some things that we were looking at doing, but unfortunately, venues are going to be the last thing to open. Yes. So the good thing is we've been creating. We have 2 singles coming out at the end of this year, and we have some crews that have been relatively safe and have gotten good feedback from other artists who've worked with them through this pandemic. Good. So we're going to actually be able to get to shoot a couple music videos as well. Groovy. Yeah, so the creative side for us hasn't really stopped, and it's been good. We've been trying to work on some new material, but since we really haven't been able to get together, it's been difficult. But luckily, with the age of technology, with Adobe Audition, with Pro Tools, all of those things, we have we have the ability to record together without really recording together, which has been really nice. So we've been getting some pre-production done on that.
Any latency with those programs, with that software?
A little bit in like live production, but luckily for us, we've been able to kind of work with that and fix it. And then when we send the files to each other, there's not a whole lot of latency, which is really nice. It's been a big benefit from that. I see you moved the Mars Variety Show to YouTube for right now, right?
Yeah, again, that was another kind of, this is happening. What do I do to be productive and support people? Yeah, I was doing it live. Obviously, just like we talked about, can't find any venues. I couldn't find a venue anyway, because I was picky, but I was like, this will be a great way to launch it as a TV product. So yeah, Mars Variety Show on the YouTube, and so far the momentum is good.
That's awesome. You've done, how many have you done so far? I haven't had a chance to check. I apologize.
I've done 6 episodes, 6 15 to 30-minute episodes, and 2 mini episodes.
Nice. And you're getting good response so far. That's awesome to hear about.
Yes, only 1 thumbs down. I don't know who the fuck that was.
Yes. Oh yeah, dude. This is a fuckable podcast. That's the wrong phrasing for that.
You
but
hear
yes,
that, people, you can fuck this podcast. You used to pull over the car right now and fuck this podcast. The ASMR version of the podcast.
Yes, just be.
So I've been lucky enough, man. I got to meet you about 3 years ago here in
Yes.
Colorado at Colorado Anime Con, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
And got to spend some time with you in that frame. But more do people know?
Friends.
Yes, we do have mutual friends.
Rebecca and Rebecca.
Rebecca and Rebecca, yes.
And Lauren Landa, right?
And Lauren Landa,
Yes.
who I'm working to get on, man. I've been talking to her. Hopefully you can get her on here too and have that conversation with her. That'd be awesome. But a lot of my friends and the people who know you from A Goofy Movie and from Hocus Pocus. Mm-hmm. And I know you from all of my favorite childhood TV shows. And I'd forgotten that you played yourself on Boy Meets World.
Yes. Yes. An extension of myself. It just happened to have the same name. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like, having to play yourself? Is that kind of a difficult thing to do when it's scripted?
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly me. They just, the name is the same. They wrote, well, I mean, this is the fun part of it, because this is rare. But that part was written for me. I'd worked for that producer before, and I actually read for the role of Eric, the older brother, which was appropriately given to Will Friedle. And then they brought me on. He needed a friend, so they wrote that part for me. I wasn't available at first, but they brought me in super last second. They gave me a bunch of episodes to do, and then in one episode, Mr. Feeney, he refers to everyone by their last name. And so one of the writers came up to me and said, yeah, so Mr. Feeney is going to regard you. Do you mind if we just use your last name? We think it'd be kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, sounds funny to me. Let's do it. So Jason Marsden playing Jason Marsden on Boy Meets World.
And that was like, I was looking through your credits, because that's what I do when I have people who have credits to look at.
Research.
I got to do the research. Yes. I mean, I have to be professional, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, it helps.
I mean, we say fuck, so I mean, there goes the professionalism out the window, right?
Nonsense. Nonsense. Most professional people use that word.
What would you say is some of the most fun work you've gotten to do, and do you prefer the voice acting over live action?
I always say that my ego loves like on camera, because I like the attention of being recognized. I don't mind it. And with on camera, you wear costumes and makeup, and you can go on location, sometimes exotic places, and that's fun. And then voiceover is also fun, because I can show up in my pajamas, which I've only done once. And I'm working with people I used to listen to, and I watch Saturday morning cartoons. So it's hard to pick. I mean, it's all acting. I get the same gratification from both sides of it. As far as like favorite job, I mean, I have a handful. I mean, I did the show in the early 90s called Erie, Indiana, which I loved. Oh man, I had so much fun. Have you ever heard of that one?
Dude, I watched that show. Yeah.
Okay.
It was
All right.
awesome. I
So
loved it.
much fun. Like I'll talk to anybody about it. I just did a podcast in the UK because it's big in the UK, apparently.
Wow.
And they do a whole Erie, Indiana centered podcast. And I talk with these two cats about it. And I love it. It was such a memorable time. I worked with a lot of great actors, like John Aston and Anita Morris, and they was making like little micro movies, like little Twilight Zone movies is what it was.
Yeah.
And Joe Dante was the producer, and he directed one. And I love Gremlins and Inner Space. Like, I was such a big fan. And then, yeah, like, Boy Meets World was fun. They're all, Michael, we hung out. It's safe to say that you could recognize I have a good time wherever I go.
Yeah, dude, you are a fun time. For those of you who have never seen Jason in real life, this dude has the best style I've ever seen of any human being in my life. If I remember correctly, there was a pair of pants. I said, I swear I had a couch that had the same material.
Yes.
But those, like, you ooze fun, man. Like, that's one of the things I definitely love about you, man.
Well, when you get, how old, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 33.
You're 30. Okay. So when you get in your 40s, like me, you give less fucks about things. And when you're tiny like me and you have an ego like me and I'm a little bit narcissistic, I like attention. And I've definitely embraced my metrosexual. Is that even still a thing anymore?
I think so. Technically, yes.
I like dressing crazy. I like, it's ever since I went to Burning Man. Have you ever been to Burning Man?
I have not, but I have friends who've gone. Quite a few people I know have gone, but I've heard it's a life-altering experience.
It is, and I recommend it. I always say, like, everybody should, like, just go set your foot on the playa to decide in that moment if it's for you or not. Because, like, I could explain to you exactly what you'd see, but nothing would compare to what you could take away from it. And I just saw, like, it's a mecca of freedom, radical self-expression, they say. And yeah, it's a little anarchy. Yes, there's drugs and nudity and stuff like that. That's all good. But there is this, it's amazing to see what, I think it's now like 80,000 people, what 80,000 people do they converge in this space where there's nothing and make a habitat and a community and there's no money exchange. It's all
trade.
Yeah. Gifting and trade and support. And no judgment really. It was incredibly inspiring. And then the art installations are mind blowing. So yeah. It's kind of like living off the playa.
Yeah. I've heard some amazing things about every aspect of it, both like more so on the good than the bad side. Cause I have a lot of friends who went for their first time in the last couple of years who've just been like, what I experienced there was something that gives me hope for humanity in the future.
Sure.
And that more people can find a way to come together. And I think that's one of the things that Burning Man brings to people is that it's an opportunity to be together, whether it be like-minded ideals to the use of fun hallucinogenics, to the art installations, to the music, to everything that's there. Yeah. Like I've heard it's an incredible experience in general. What was your playa name?
That's funny. I never had one. I tried to gift myself one. I started with like stupid things like, how about Mr. McFeel Me? I wanted to do something like kind of provocative and do like that. And I think I tried a couple and it didn't stick. I heard that like your playa name has to be gifted.
Oh, okay.
And then Mars is something I adopted actually when I moved to Nashville.
It's what I call you. So
yeah.
It's what I've known you as for a long time. But you were gonna glom on to something else. I apologize.
Oh yeah, well I just when everyone talks about Burning Man, yeah, there is the drugs and stuff, but also like there's AA camps. I mean, there's something for everybody. Like that's not as Burning Man rose in popularity and got covered in like Rolling Stone and stuff like that. Then people became aware. People wanted to go, especially because it's so close to Vegas. People go to Vegas and just pop over because they wanted to see, the girls, and they wanted to, see the glitter and the drugs and stuff like that. Those people stick out like a sore thumb. It's so crazy. But just to remind people, it is more than that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that every festival in some capacity could take a benefit from, is that not every festival is just like a drug-induced psycho exciting time. People assume that about Woodstock, but Woodstock was about the music and the camaraderie.
Yeah.
People talk about that with Coachella, and again, Coachella is about the music and the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I've never been interested in any of the artists at Coachella. That's the reason I don't go.
I've never been interested in the environment at Coachella. I just hear it's a little bit more hoity-toity. I mean, there's amazing acts, but it just feels like a little too much of an LA vibe.
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of devolved as well over the last few years. What are you listening to right now? Who are some of the artists that you're rolling on right now?
Gosh, you know what? I have been on such a podcast kick. I haven't listened to any new music, really. A couple of, God, I can't even remember. I mean, a couple of new hip hop artists that I hadn't heard of. Splash God, this kid. I mean, just all my focus is like podcasts. I've just been wanting to hear people talk. I think I've wanted to hear like positive conversations is what I've been.
What podcast have you been listening to then?
I love listening to WTF.
Okay. He's a genius.
Genius. And Gilbert Gottfried podcast I like because he talks. I know it's people laugh because they think Gilbert Gottfried and the guy who tells the dirty jokes.
Yeah.
But him and his co-host cover classic Hollywood. They talk about character actors. They talk about old time movies. They talk about like stories about actors and behind the scenes stuff. And they have great conversations with everyone from like, they've had Bruce Dern to Richard Donner to Matthew Broderick. John Leguizamo was just on. Adam and Alan Arkin were just on. Like great, like they're creating such a time capsule of great conversations about actors that a lot of us are forgetting about or don't know about. And it's fun and funny as well.
Yeah, he's an amazing host actually too. And I think it's perfect for him to talk about character actors as being a character actor for a majority of his career. And,
definitely. He's definitely a character.
Yes. And he's fun to listen to. I've heard him as a guest on several podcasts. Yes. I haven't had a chance to listen to his podcast, but it's on a network that I listen to a lot, Starburns Audio, which hosts Grawlix Saves the World with three of the guys from Denver, Adam Keaton Hollins, Ben Roy, and Andrew Overdahl, who are the Grawlix comedy group out of Denver. And then, of course, the Sklar Brothers with Dumb People Town. Scarborough Country, the virus edition, which is hysterical. It's them just like reading news and trying to just rail on people for being relatively stupid. And then they have another one called View from the Cheap Seats, which is a sports-based comedy podcast where they talk to comedians who are fans of sports and a lot of people within the sports world who kind of have a comedy side to them. So it's kind of cool to hear those three different stories. Yeah, it's a lot for those.
The Sklar brothers are doing all those?
Yeah, they host all three of them. And then they have another co-host for Dumb People Town named Daniel Van Kirk, who reads the stories while them and another comedian riff on these stories of unfortunate stupidity within the world.
How I can't, because I now having like with the YouTube show, and that's a whole other beast. I tried to do a podcast once, but it's a lot of work. When you do this, what's the turnaround for release date?
Well, depending on sensitivity of time, and if like I need to promote something right away, I can turn it over in a week. Just because I have everything at my disposal right here. Mm-hmm. My workstation is where I do everything. So I'm able to edit, create an intro. I have, since I do a video portion of this as well, I edit the video down and then strip the audio from the video, and then that becomes the audio podcast. And then I can have the video posted within a week. And the nice thing is, I have built all my intros and outros with everything that I need, so they can just be pointed at the end, put the content in the middle, and then render it and be ready.
Well, okay, that's
So,
still that's a lot to do by yourself.
yeah,
And then like you have to continuously put out content so the audience stays engaged.
right. So this is a weekly podcast.
To us.
Yes.
It's a weekly.
Yeah. So it comes out every Friday. I've already released 2 episodes. My 3rd episode gets released this Friday.
Okay.
And then I have like a backlog. I decided to do a bunch right away.
Yeah.
So that if I ever run into a situation where I'm out of town, or I am in a situation where something can be evergreen, I can shuffle things and place stuff in where it needs to go. And my guests have been a variety of different people. I've had a couple musicians, a few comedians, up and coming actors and actresses that I've become friends with. I have a PR director for an NFL franchise who's on. So
they must be under. I mean, I don't know anything about sports, but PRing a big franchise during these times has got to be. They got to be learning some new things, I'm sure.
Yeah, he started in the NBA and was with the Denver franchise for 20 years and grew with social media. So he's actually watched. That's something we talk about in that episode, is the growth of how the young athlete now is a lot more focused on monitoring their social media. How do you handle your social media? Is it something that is important to you, keeping your name out there, doing things with that? I know we follow each other on Instagram,
yes.
but like, and I see you post about variety shows and things. How do you feel that social media, how is that important to your brand?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I do enjoy it. So that's part of it. Do I wish that I didn't have to rely on it? Yeah. Because there was a time where I wasn't getting a lot of attention as an actor, which was frustrating because I've been doing this for 30 years, and being an actor is different than having a corporate job where, you have a lot on your resume and it means bigger and better opportunities. It doesn't matter. The fact is I've worked a lot, and I'm not knocking my career. I've had a tremendous career, but nothing I've done has been enough to make me a household name. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, unless I have a lot of followers on Twitter, will be the deciding factor of whether or not I get a job. That's what it's come down to a lot of the times, and that's frustrating. So I'm like, well, shit. Do I need to focus on Twitter again? I just was kind of doing it for fun. Do I really need to build up a following and stuff? And I did Twitter, but I really liked Instagram because I'm a visual guy. I like the format of it. I like editing. I like putting stuff together. I can put together 60-second pieces of fun, and the response has been tremendous. So I have shifted to using that as this is the way it is. This is the way it is nowadays. As a performer, you have to adapt. And believe me, I was resistant because a lot of studios were like, like Quibi.
Yeah.
Quibi is, I don't think they're doing that great, but it's a platform where you watch, 10-minute or less programming on your phone, holding it vertically.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a bastard thing to do. Entertainment is to watch entertainment vertically. It's got to be horizontal on a big screen. But now I'm like, no. I mean, a lot of people are consuming their entertainment like that on their phones. I have a buddy in Melbourne, Australia, who supports me watching Mars Variety Show, and the only time he can watch it is when he's on the tube going to work. So yeah, I learned to adapt.
And that's, I think, the most important word of all of this is adaptation, or to adapt and find ways to shift how we do things. I know, being a musician, we've had to adapt to thousands of changes over the last decade.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we press maybe 100 CDs now, when before we had crates, boxes where you could get 250 to 500 for, you know, a price, and then have to
do people still get CDs from you guys?
You know, surprisingly at live shows, yes.
Really?
There are people, because it goes directly back to us, whereas through digital market, you have the digital platform take a percentage. You get a percentage from the distribution company, and then you get the remainder, which unfortunately for an artist of my size is not much. So you see a small return on a big investment. If you think about it, so we put in probably 4 to 5K just to get a single out. So that's artwork, studio time, artwork, and video. Yeah. And then you have the release of everything. We did an EP with the band I'm in now, did an acoustic EP to start the project, to start the band off. And we have to pay a cover license for one of them, because
Can you have a double kick pedal on an acoustic?
We don't.
Can you do a double kick?
You can, but we decided to do the softer side of things.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but we had a cover on the record, so we had to pay the license fee on that.
Sure.
Okay. But with the newer stuff, the heavier stuff, like we have to market it ourselves and really get it out there. The difference is it's split 4 ways instead of 2 ways. So financially speaking, it's a little bit cheaper to produce, but return-wise, it's a lot less.
And how are you hoping people can consume your music these days?
The way it is right now is Apple Music and Spotify. A lot of record labels are looking at how many monthly listeners, how many total streams on those 2 platforms. And the nice thing is despite Spotify not really paying us anything, they're one of the last to adopt the law that's in place to raise royalty returns to artists for streaming. They are the ones that track the best. Apple does pretty solid in some capacities, but Spotify has been doing it consistently as a streaming platform for so long that they have really good metrics. So you can measure how much you've released, how much people are listening to your product, which songs are more popular, and it kind of helps you guide which direction you want to go.
But they still don't offer a generous royalty.
No, I think the law states that you're supposed to get 44 cents on the dollar per stream, and they're still at like 10 to 15 cents on the dollar per stream. Apple was the first one to sign on to the DMA. So they were like, I pushed them hard. Like, I know that a lot of people don't like Apple products and don't really like Apple as a company, but they are doing a lot more for musicians, partly because they got sued by Taylor Swift early on. But they've been the fastest to adopt some of these new policies to try and help artists who are smaller get out there a little bit more.
Sure. It's, living in Nashville, I'm surrounded by musicians who I have so much talent, and I've never realized how shrewd the music industry is until I moved here. It's much more shrewd than the film and TV, in my opinion. But I wish, and it's simple for me to say something like this, but my wish is that most of you guys wouldn't settle for that. They're like Spotify, Apple is one thing, but there's a lot of guys here that will play for tips only. They'll play a lot of free shows, and they're severely taken advantage of by venues or restaurants. And it's like, what does it take to get? Without you, there would be empty stages. So it's like you guys have the upper hand. Why is it? I know why, because as artists, we want to be seen. We're desperate for that intoxicating fame, that chance that someone or so-and-so is going to listen or walk into the room, that they'll take any opportunity. But I wish, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think part of it too is original artists, at least here in Denver, and you can speak to the Nashville scene on this. We are inundated with cover bands. Cover bands make countless more money than any of us. And because people want to hear the songs that are already popular. And we run into the situation where venues now, to make sure that they are going to generate and make money, will stick a cover band inside of a local like original band showcase, or we'll do a full showcase of cover bands to guarantee that they'll get people in. But the difference is cover bands require a guarantee. Local artists generally work for ticket sales at the door and then like a part of a bar, depending on where you are. I can only speak to the Denver scene as it's the only scene that I've ever been inundated in for an extended period of time. I have some musician friends who've recently moved to Nashville. A couple of them, one of them goes to Belmont University, and another one moved there because they could get a 5-bedroom house on 4 acres for the cost of a 2-bedroom loft in Denver. So what about the scene in Nashville? Are you seeing more cover artists than originals, or is it mostly just originals who seem to be getting taken advantage of?
No, I definitely see more original artists. Lots and lots of there's a generous opportunity for original artists, and a lot of our local venues. By the way, to your listeners, hashtag Save Our Stages. Go to saveourstages.com, and it's a simple 3-minute thing that you fill out just to let your legislators know to help the venues when this is all over. We want them to be open when this is all done, so we can go see them live, because we have a lot of very hip indie venues that support all aspects of indie artists. Yes, we also have our fair share of cover bands. And you're right, man, they kill. We have this one band, oh, come on, Jay. There was Rubik's Groove. There was one other one I was thinking of. Rubik's Groove is great because they're all 80s and they all dress up like, it's like a stunt, because like one guy is dressed as a RoboCop, and another person is Pee Wee Herman, and other person is like Rainbow Bright, and they do all like the standard 80s covers.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. My So-Called Band. Yeah, man. They're like younger. There's like 15 of them. I don't know how they do it, but all local musicians that gather together, and every time they play, it's sold out. Every time. And they kill. I mean, it's not like they're bad. They're great. We got like a groovy Beatles cover band, Grateful Dead. There's this one dude who produces these like Black Keys versus White Stripes, or Beyonce versus Madonna, like cover nights.
Okay.
And, it's so much fun. Like each band, and this is fun. Each band that participates will do like, a White Stripes song, a Black Keys song, and then an original song. And then back and forth. So they get to show off, how they doing covers, and they have the opportunity to show their own prowess as well.
Oh, see, now that's kind of cool, because it's like a weird gimmick that allows them the opportunity to show that they are both, this cool like mesh of cover bands, and then an original band. Like we throw a cover in almost every set. Granted, some of them are cooler than others. I mean, one of my favorite memories of playing a cover was with a band I was in for a little bit called Sovereign, and we actually did CeeLo Green's "Fuck You" because we had a piano player in the band. Yes. So, and he would play it at every practice. So finally, we were just like, "Fuck it, let's play it and see what happens." And people went nuts.
Was it close to CeeLo? Or did you throw your own sauce onto it?
Oh, we went metal on it. It was fun. It was awesome. Like our vocalist, I was the backup vocalist and bassist. Yeah, it was a little bit of that. Fuck you, fuck you too. And but it was so much fun. Like it was fun to do it. I had the pretty parts. I sang the pretty parts, and our primary vocalist did the heavier parts.
Okay.
But it was still fun to just like kind of mess around with that song and have a little fun with it. And then we did Careless Whisper as well, which Seether did a really good version of, and we kind of twisted on that one, and it was awesome.
Band's name in forever.
Seether?
So yeah. So now, how do you guys decide? Do this even cross your mind? Like, how do y'all, considering there's so much, there's bands all over the place. There's always someone trying to start a band, trying to be seen, trying to make it. How do you guys decide how you're going to be different from your competition?
See wow, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that one. We try to just do what we want to do for ourselves. The most important thing I can give as a piece of advice in any field, and you can probably attest to this as well, if you can't stand to listen to the stuff you do, you're not doing it right. And for me, I was in bands way back where we were doing stuff I just didn't really feel, but I did it because everybody else was into it. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But you can tell because the passion isn't there.
Sure.
With this, the last like 3 projects that I've been really, really involved in, I've been fortunate to have a lot more of a say. And I think that that's important as well. When you work with a band, you want to be able to make sure that you guys can be critical of each other, and be like, look, man, that riff sucks. Those vocal patterns don't fit this song. It might work somewhere else, but it doesn't fit here. And being honest with yourself is really important. So if you are honest with yourself and like what you're putting out, there's a good chance other people will like it too. And you can't just sit there and say, well, we need to market ourselves to the primary audience. No, you have to do what you like to do, because if you don't do what you like to do, then you're going to show it on stage. You're going to show it in the studio. Absolutely. You're going to show it with a mediocre bullshit product.
And then, and you leave those questions up to, when you can afford a marketing person or a manager, that would be their job. But you're right. As an artist, you guys got to find the synergy within yourselves and have good communication, which it sounds like you do. And you got to love what you're doing. I love watching someone have a good time on stage. Even if I'm not a big fan of the music, I am on board if I see them just rocking out, having a good time.
Right. And that's the other thing. Like, I've found a lot of artists and bands that I really enjoyed their stage show versus the music they were playing. But it would give me the opportunity to come back and enjoy the music at another time and look at them in maybe a different light and see if maybe the studio production is better than the live. Because sometimes a front of house guy just sucks. It happens, and it makes you sound bad. I've seen it happen to really good bands. It's really sad. But it's just one of those things. Like, you don't always get a chance to take advantage of a good audience. So sometimes you have to play a good show. Can you kind of attest to maybe some of the entertainment side on your end, where, I mean, you work where your face isn't always seen, especially with voice acting. How do you see audience responses when your product comes out? Like, I know that some people in film can actually like watch the people in theaters or hear direct reactions from things like that. How do you kind of get your criticism, and how do you kind of take those?
I guess, since I've been doing the con circuit, when you're meeting everyone face to face, that's been the give back for me. Because, like, if I do it like a TV show and I can't go into someone's living room and watch it with them, I rely on, either fan correspondence and definitely the, going to conventions, pop culture conventions.
How fun is the con circuit? I've heard, dude, I have a lot of fun with those when I can actually get to them.
I have a ball. I mean, I joke around because it's like I'm on tour. I do wacky voices for a living, and I'm on tour like I'm Kiss or something. I've been flown all over the United States and meet amazing people and have had tremendous opportunities, a lot on someone else's dime, and I'm meeting people who are there to see me, or a lot of people who maybe recognize me for one thing, but not from something else. And then they get excited. I'm not joking when I say, I have an ego. I love it. I love it. It's a good time.
Who are some of your favorite people to con with? I know I've gotten to see you with a couple different groups of people, but who are some of your favorite people to con with?
If it's like my close friends, like Will Friedle from Boy Meets World, my buddy Alex Polinsky, who was on a show called Charles in Charge back in the day. When I can share those moments with like good pals, Dante Bosco is a groovy cat to hang out with. because then like you have actors that you've known most of your life, and then you don't realize. Like I didn't realize. You know, for those who are listening who don't know, Dante Bosco was Rufio in Hook.
Hook.
The French version is Hook. Yes, he's Rufio in Hook, and I had no idea that he is an extremely gifted spoken word poet, and because of that, I actually flew him out to Nashville and hosted a show for him. I was like, dude, you got to do this in Nashville. People will love it. And I got a venue, and I did my company hosted a Mars Presents Dante Bosco's poetry salon South, and we invited people to show up and read their poetry, which people loved. I had a local musician open, and then Dante hosted. Dante did his thing, and then we had like over 22 people read poetry for us, and it was outstanding.
Dude, that's awesome. I was fortunate enough when I met you to also meet Dante. You want to have a wonderful, amazing intellectual conversation with two people at the same time in a tiny hotel room with a bunch of people and just locked in. It was talking to you and to Dante, and we were just having this amazing existential conversation. It was absolutely incredible, and it was a memory that I will keep forever.
Yes.
Because like getting to, and also I got to hear Dante read some poetry at that con as well.
Yes.
And
you were in that room with me.
Yes. And I got to hear him kind of tell the story of how he got interested in poetry by working on Hook with Robin Williams, and Robin sort of guiding him into that world as well.
Yeah, suggested some books or something, I believe is.
Yeah, I think he gave the cast like a book of poetry or something like at the end as like a gift to all of the young actors working on that film.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I've really enjoyed about you is just that your ability to essentially play anything. I've really enjoyed that. But for me personally, I'm a huge fan that you are part of. We'll block this out here. Part of the DC universe as well.
Up his Marvel poster.
it's my girlfriend's Marvel poster. I'm a Batman kid through and through.
Yeah, me too. Can you see I have a Bruce Timm Batman on my shoulder.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, the lighting's bad in here.
It's okay, but yeah, I can see it. And
Batman, I got a whole Batman room in my hallway.
So then would you say like Batman Beyond was one of your favorites, or was it playing young Bruce Wayne?
Oh no, I mean I would rather watch them than to be in them. I mean, like it was a gift to say I was in those shows. But I definitely like consuming Batman.
Who is your favorite Batman?
Oh, that would be a Michael Keaton.
Oh, dude. Okay. Yeah, we're good. We can wrap this whole episode up right now because I just got vindicated. Thank you. Michael Keaton, best Batman. You heard it here first.
I just showed my son. My son is 10. I just showed him that for the first time a few weeks ago. And I completely forgot. I'm watching it from his point of view. And, I mean, he's already been like introduced to, there's a lot of Batmans already.
Right.
Out here. And I'm like, man, June 1989. That was like the first time, y'all, that anyone ever saw a Batman in a black outfit.
Oh,
fully
dude.
black outfit, and the buzz around like Michael Keaton, really? Beetlejuice? Come on, that can't be. And having, in a very adult version of the character, because before that, the last incarnation was Adam West. So you're talking like 30 years, almost 40
30,
years,
yeah,
of difference, and that just shook me to the core. I loved it. That's been my Batman ever since.
Yeah. So my first introduction, 1989, Michael Keaton Batman, and then for me on the nostalgia side, just because the character was so important to me, Kevin Conroy as the animated Batman.
Yes.
And then having Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Yes.
And like that really solidified those characters for me forever. But Keaton, like, ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Like, come on, you can't. He goes Beetlejuice once in the whole movie and it was totally perfect. Come on,
Right.
It's just it. So how did your son take in that seeing that after like the myriad of Batmans that have been out since.
Hey, buddy, how did you like Batman? How did you like the Batman movie? You liked it? You had seen, what was the Batman you saw before that one? Was it the Adam West one, the kind of silly? I think he's looking at my Batman video stash.
Oh, nice.
But that was the first. I didn't want him to watch like Dark Knight or anything like that. First, I wanted him to. Oh yeah, that's right. He glommed onto Batman, but he discovered that on his own, really.
Batman Begins?
Batman Beyond.
Oh, Beyond. Oh, dude. Okay. I want them to make a Batman Beyond movie.
They've been trying to do that for years. When the cartoon was out, was it Boaz Yokin? Oh,
yeah, I think you're right.
I'm mispronouncing his last name. Fantastic indie director, but he was attached to do it because Alan Burnett, who produced like all those cartoons, was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
I think he and Paul Dini were talking to him about the structure of the movie, and he wanted to make like a PG-13 R-rated movie, and it was like Warner Brothers was not about to do that.
No,
that's the only way he was gonna do it. I know they should eventually. I don't know if that's the talk about the Flashpoint movie having Michael Keaton back as Bruce Wayne or Batman. I don't even know, but
yeah,
but we shall see. But Batman Beyond movie is no doubt should be created.
It's one of those things. Like, I would love to see what a live action Terry McGinnis would look like.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to kind of see how that whole like post Bruce Wayne era would look like in the way that show was drawn, and the the futuristic template of it would fit amazing right now. And I can tell you, there's a bunch of 25 to 45-year-old nerd dudes who would pay millions to watch that.
Oh man, I would too. I hope that they would really pay attention to the style and the art direction of that. I think it was Glenn Murakami and Bruce Timm together that kind of honed that look. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. I would make sure I'd watch it every day that I could when I was growing up, and I loved that. What are some of your favorite featured animated Batmans though? Do you have like a favorite featured animated?
What do you mean featured?
Like The Killing Joke or Under the Red Hood, the ones that they turned into like feature films as an animated version.
None of them.
Oh, really?
They have all been extremely disappointing to me. The closest thing that I liked was the and I can't remember the name of the episode in the Batman animated series. It was like 3 vignettes in one, and they kind of touch upon. They do like a Frank Miller Batman. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Was it the No, it wasn't Mask of Phantasm. I have a device that can tell me.
Mask of Phantasm was great.
Yes.
But as far as like Killing Joke was incredibly disappointing. That's my favorite graphic novel ever. And I don't know. I'm sorry if anyone I know who worked on that. You worked so hard on it, but I don't know what to tell you. It did not translate well.
Was it The Dark Knight Returns? No, that wasn't it. Oh, Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I've watched a handful of those DC straight to VOD animated films, and I haven't found one that I really, really dig.
What I've liked what they've done recently with some of them is they've actually released them with the original comic. Mm-hmm. So I've purchased those ones. So I have like Batman Year One with the animated and then the original Year One comic book. Mm-hmm. But my favorite storyline, despite the comments I'm sure I'm going to get on this one, I'm a huge Red Hood fan. I love Jason Todd. Mm-hmm. Arkham Knight was one of my favorite games because of the storyline. And I think that one was done pretty well, mainly because I think Jensen Ackles does a great job of portraying Jason Todd's character as Red Hood.
Gotcha. I didn't.
Huh?
See, I'll per your recommendation, I'll give it a shot. Did you by any chance see Gotham by Gaslight?
I own Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah, was it good? Because I'm hesitant because I love that graphic novel.
So I liked it it's interesting.
Mhm.
I hadn't read the graphic novel beforehand, so I can't use that as a reference point. But I think it's interesting. I like the casting choices: Laura Bailey, Bruce Greenwood as Bruce Wayne, and I like some of the character development in it. It's interesting because of the time frame it's in. World's Fair, Gotham City, Victorian period. I like. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it or seen it. I do like the concept of it, so I probably would like the graphic novel better. I will have to pick that one up as well. But I would say give it a shot and let me know.
I will. My partner's here with me. She lives in New Orleans and she's staying with me for a month. And I know she likes that. I think she's watched most of them, so I will turn to her to point me in the right direction. She knows my tastes. She knows my distastes.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're going to wrap this up real quick. Go ahead and throw out any social media, anything you're promoting right now. When's the next Mars variety show, where we can find all that stuff, and it's all yours.
Absolutely. Well, hi, if you're still listening, I'm Jason Marsden, and I would love it if you followed me on Instagram at Jason Marsden. And I have a new show on YouTube called The Mars Variety Show. And if you are missing, going to a venue and supporting live musicians and comedians and alt performers like circus performers, poets, artists, I got them all wrapped up in one like clickable package. It's inspired by the classic variety shows of the 60s and 70s. And I call it a relentless good time because it's just one little thing after the other. Just go to YouTube, search Mars Variety Show, pick an episode, watch. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And let me know what you think. I would love it. I would love it. And if you are a performer listening to this and you want to be part of something like that, if you miss being on stage, you want to perform, let me know and send a submission. We'd love to include you.
Awesome, man. All of that information will be on the screen when he says it, and it will also be in the description below. Jason, dude, thank you so much, Mars. I am so stoked to have you on, and I will let you know as soon as this is up.
Michael Lebois, it is so good to see you too. My goodness. My goodness. If you ever get to Nashville, you got to let me know. And when we're allowed to travel, when I feel secure enough to travel, I definitely want to go back to Colorado because I love your city and state.
Well, you have an open invitation anytime you want to come to Colorado. I will gladly have you as my guest.
Yes.
And I think it'd be okay if you stayed here, right? Okay, yeah. I get permission from the girlfriend. You can crash here if you need to. We're in the heart of downtown Denver, so
perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. If you need anything, I'll let you know when I'm in Nashville, honey. It'll be great.
Please do. Yes, I'll take it all the delis.
Oh, all of the delis. Every delicatessen you can think of.
All the hot chicken delis, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Man. I'm going to have the runs for weeks if I go to get all the hot chicken.
I don't touch that stuff. I can't. I don't have the composition.
I don't have the intestinal fortitude for it either, man. I had it once here, and I was done for like 2 days.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Yeah. All right, brother. Take care. Always a pleasure, man.
Back at you.
Peace.
It almost feels like someone else is living my life. 'Cause it almost